She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. We here at DaniJohnson.com are so very blessed that you decided to join us. We know that today is going to be a blessing for all of us. Why? We need to talk about this. Are you afraid of something? Is fear something you battle? Oh man, statistics prove that fear is something that cripples a lot of people. Fear used to cripple me. We're going to talk about how to overcome that and what kind of fear is it? Is it fear of failure, fear of making a mistake? People carry that into their jobs, and that what you fear most, I know you've heard this before, what you fear most will happen. Okay? Fear of rejection. Gosh, that's being afraid of what other people think of you and think about how you are, and how you dress, and how you act. Fear is not just something that cripples children, it is something that cripples adults. I've worked with hundreds of thousands of people from all over the world, and I will tell you that fear is probably the most common denominator that I have seen in human beings, especially those that want to do something with their life, especially those that want to have an unusual life and do something that is powerful and purposeful. And yet fear just grabs them by the throat, shoves them up against a wall, and tells them how ridiculous they are to have such a goal or such a dream. Here on the Dani Johnson Show, every day we help you to define what you want your life to be, to live it by design, your personal design, not by default, because society is telling you that a successful life really is nothing but a facade. Yes, they're telling you go into debt to buy all these things so people think you're successful. That's a facade. What you end up at the end of that day is, the fear of not being able to pay your bills, the fear of creditors calling you. You fear never being able to get ahead because you're so far behind. And how does that happen? I've watched it happen with some of my kids. That a health problem happens. They're newly married. They married somebody else that doesn't have the same views financially of how our kids were raised. So just with those views in itself, like, oh, debt's okay. It's all right. No problem. We'll just charge it. And the bank said in order for us to get any credit, we got to have a credit card. Nonsense. So, people get married. Now it's a combination of two different financial ideas and two different ways of raising kids and two different ways of living healthy and two different types of marriages that are now mingled into a couple. They're supposed to become one flesh. And wow, there's a lot of discrepancies in there. But, so health issues that happen while you're young and when you're old, we messed up with that car, and so now we got to finance one because we don't have one. Here's some more debt pretty soon out of nowhere. You'll be 22, 23, 24, 25 with $50,000 worth of debt if you add up the cars and you add up the student loans and you add up the credit cards and then you add the mortgage. Pretty soon, you got a really sad debt-to-income ratio, and boy, what does that do to you? Puts you in fear, right? Well, we are going to expose fear for what it really is, and we, through you, who are calling in today, going to help us understand how other people deal with fear. I find that for myself, I learn a lot from other people. I really do. And if you're struggling with fear, somebody that is, I think right now is a good time for you maybe to start texting some of those people, maybe get on your social media platform, at least come and say hi to us that you're watching the show. You can do that right now on Facebook, on our page, Dani Johnson Live, or Instagram or Twitter. It's all the same name, Dani, D-A-N-I, Johnson Live. Come and join that amazing community of people who are working towards their goals and paying off debt and taking care of the poor and having more sex with their spouse and being better loving parents to their children and traveling the world and doing exciting things. You want to hang out with these people, I promise you. And they once were fearful as well, and some of them are because they haven't come yet to a live first steps to success. But come and say hi to us. But at the same time, I want you to share this program with somebody that needs it. And by the way, you probably don't know who they are. This is why social media is a really good place to do it, because you never know who's going to click the link to watch this program. And so today, the title of the program is Don't Let Fear Keep You from Great Success. I'm sure you know a few people that are allowing fear keep them from great success. So how do you overcome fear? Have you ever struggled with it? That's the question that we have asked today on Facebook. And so we've got some answer from some people. So we have Sarah Elson from Dallas, Texas. Sarah, have you ever battled with fear?
Oh my gosh, yes, totally.
What does it look like? What does fear look like in your life when you were battling with it?
Well, and I still sometimes struggle with it, but I've realized, God has not given us a spirit of fear.
Yep.
So when I start feeling fearful, I don't think that it's in me. I recognize that it's coming at me. And one thing that I get fearful of is, so I have my own jewelry business, right? And I'm good at making the jewelry, but it's all the other stuff that I don't know how to do, like the marketing and taking good photos and all of that stuff. And so just the other day, I was like, God, I don't know how to do this. And I've feared
failure,
not being good at it.
Yep.
Yeah. And so it cripples me. A lot of times fear cripples me of stepping outside of my comfort zone and trying something new that maybe I could be good at, but I'm not sure because I let fear. And so, I say that scripture, Philippians 4:6-8, every day, but I just word it. I say, I will not worry about anything. Instead, I will pray about everything. I just make it for me. And when I start feeling that fear coming at me, I just say, and I say, you know what? I don't know how I'm going to do this, but God, you're going to show me, and I just have to push through it.
Yes. Okay, now, Sarah, this is awesome. And there's something I want to give you today.
Okay.
And that is a revelation. And let me show you something. I have found in the people I've worked with, as well as in my own life, that the root of your fear, the fear you're talking about, can be fixed so easily. You literally are walking on a battlefield on purpose every day. And it's because you lack knowledge. It's because you lack knowledge and you lack skill.
Yeah.
So, do you know who God had, because you brought him up, so I'm going to freely talk about him. Do you know who he had to build the temple?
Solomon?
No, Solomon was the king that directed it, but who were the physical laborers?
I can't remember right now.
Yeah, because the Bible says they were highly skilled craftsmen.
Oh, right. Highly skilled craftsmen.
Highly skilled craftsmen.
Yes.
He didn't bring the, I think I could do the job people. He didn't bring the, I want to do it. He didn't bring those people. He brought those who had invested into learning, becoming a craftsman, trial and error. Those people learn from other people. Craftsman doesn't become a craftsman just, he dropped out of the sky and all of a sudden he knows how to do everything. It's not how it works. The quickest way to success is from learning from other skilled people.
Right.
That's the quickest way. Versus setting yourself up daily for fear. Going, okay, God, please teach me. He's like, dude, there's lots of people you can be learning from. Who are you learning from? So if there's specific areas that you're identifying, and I see this happen, Sarah, all the time, it's one of two things. One is that most people have not learned a new skill since they left college or high school. They haven't. They just expect to somehow figure it out.
Right.
And they spend 40 years trying to figure it out and never do. The dream gets aborted, the business turns to a failure, and they're broke financially. The other side is even in a career. So there are people, I hope listening right now, there's even people I've seen that I work with directly where they have they make the same mistake again and again and again. And they're lacking a very obvious skill. And so because they keep making that mistake, they have to burden somebody else in the office for help because they lack the professional skill. And so they do this for 5 years, they do this for 10 years, either till they get fired and they never get promoted. So if they stay, They end up complaining about the fact that they haven't been promoted. They haven't had a raise in 5 years. They haven't had, they haven't had a job within the company open up to them, and they think it's all somebody else's fault. But the reason is because they become a burden on the organization because A, they don't have the mindset of learning. That you right now, you already told me there's 2 places of things you don't know how to do. You said, I don't know how to market and I don't know how to take appropriate pictures. I know how to make the jewelry, but I do not know how to market and I do not know how to take appropriate pictures that would help to sell my jewelry. So it sounds to me like you lack salesmanship skills and some basic photography skills.
Right.
So if you want your jewelry business to succeed, you have 2 options. 1, go hire a professional photographer that's going to take beautiful photos of your work, or B, invest into a class that will teach you specifically how to photograph inanimate objects. Because to be honest with you, that is what sells that jewelry, is the pictures. The models that are wearing it, or just how you present it. It doesn't even need to be on a model. It's how it is presented, what else it's photographed with. Okay? The other side is marketing and sales. So if you don't know how to do marketing and sales, you do what I did. I hired people to teach me. I spent $25,000 using my credit cards to learn marketing and sales because I didn't know how to do it. I sucked at that part of business. Therefore, I was not eating. My credit cards were paying for my rent and all my business expenses and whatever little bit of food that I allotted for myself because my credit cards were getting maxed out. And so I had to use those same credit cards to invest into my skills of learning business and sales and marketing. It has made me millions and millions and millions of dollars. The product has changed throughout the years. And it's never the product that helps someone to become successful. It's the ability to market that product. So either you have to hire someone that knows how to do it, which, by the way, takes skill to hire someone that knows how to market, or you have got to learn how to market. Quit setting yourself up for failure every day with having to engage in a battle that you don't even need to engage in by being proactive. The Bible says, skill brings success. That's what it says. You want success? You locate the places where you're lacking skill, buy the skill. Skill costs money. Go buy the skill and bam, girlfriend, you're going to have the success with that jewelry business and any other business that you go and attempt to try. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
Are you growing the fear in your life? Are you giving fear the power to control you? After the break, Dani exposes how we grow our fear every day.
Friend, you know me. You know how passionate I am about my faith and the land of Israel. I'm so excited to tell you about something directly from the Holy Land. A good friend in Israel has teamed up with a good friend here in the U.S. to bring an incredible product that harnesses the healing power of the Dead Sea. Have you heard about Mud Zero? Face it, we may not like to talk about it, but some of us need help with removing unwanted hair, especially in unwanted places. Mud Zero is a solution for all skin types for men and women. Rub the mask on your skin, let it sit for 5 minutes, wipe it off, and you have smooth skin without the irritation. Then follow it up with a Depi lotion daily to reduce hair growth by up to 50%. Best of all, you can feel good knowing that over 10% of the profits goes directly to King's Ransom to feed the orphan and the widow. Go right now to mudzero.com and take advantage of an introductory offer they've created just for us. mudzero.com. Imagine living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel made of waste material on top of old mining tunnels that could explode and sink your home at any moment. Imagine no water to drink, no safe place to raise your children, no food for your starving baby. Imagine that your kids can't learn to read because they have to work to support the family instead of going to school. Could you imagine living in that kind of fear and hopelessness? This is exactly what families are dealing with in the poverty-stricken village of Santa Pancha, Nicaragua. These families can barely meet their basic food, water, and housing needs. We are transforming that village. Be a part of this miracle. I want you to go to the website now and learn how you can help. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha. There you can join with other warriors against poverty and help bring a miraculous transformation to Santa Pancha. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org.
If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do with your life? Discover your own answer. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Dani, I'm afraid. It's just the way I am. Why in the world would you ever claim that? Why in the world would you want to put that identity on yourself? Part of becoming successful in life and defining success for you, because here on the Dani Johnson Show, we are constantly challenging, coming at, obliterating the status quo of success. Because you can have all kinds of stuff and be miserable inside. And so I want to see your life not be a fearful life, but a life that is fulfilling, that is purposed, that is content, that is successful in every area of your life. And a factor that causes people to fail every day is because they are wearing the identity of fear. I'm afraid. I'm afraid to do this. I'm afraid this is going to happen. I'm afraid if I go there, then I'm afraid that this is going to happen. And I'm afraid if I make this choice to step forward, I'm afraid these people are going to laugh at me. I'm so afraid I'm going to lose money. I'm afraid that everyone's going to disown me. I'm afraid that I'm going to lose my job. I'm afraid that the economy is tanking. I'm so afraid of who's going to be elected for president. I'm just afraid about my health. I'm afraid because my family all dies young because of heart attacks, and I'm afraid that the same thing's going to happen to me while you're eating your cheeseburger from McDonald's. So many people wear the identity of fear just with their own mouths. Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and what you feed will flourish. What you neglect will die. Quit feeding your fear. We're talking about overcoming fear, because fear does have a part in your success. It really does. Whom you fear. What you fear. One is wise to fear. The others are very, very foolish. So we're asking you, have you overcome fear? If so, what strategy did you use? We got David Watson from Portland, Oregon. David, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. So you battled with fear. What did that look like in your life? What are you afraid of or were afraid of?
I'm afraid of talking to people and being rejected from points or making people mad of trying to show them my business.
And so how have you overcome it?
The way that I overcame this, every day I have to remind myself two things. First one I remind myself is that other people also have these fears and have overcome them.
Yes.
And because of that, I can also do it.
That is absolutely right on. I remember in my early days of business, it was the same way. And when I heard this, and I'm sure you heard the same thing, that if you are fearful, just know that every billionaire once was fearful as well, and still will have fear come at their heads. Every millionaire, all of us, every human has the opportunity to make agreements with fear or to reject that fear and to continue to move towards the goal that we are desiring. David, thanks so much for sharing. That was absolutely right on point. I love that you remind yourself of that every day. And what happens as a result of you reminding yourself that, hey, other people have this fear and other people have overcome. I shall overcome as well. What's the result of you doing that?
It reminds me that if I don't talk to that person, I'll have regret later on.
Yep. So you take action. As a direct result of those two things being in the forefront of your mind, you then take action. And guess what action does? It obliterates fear. I love it.
Yeah.
Good job, David. I'm proud of you. Thanks so much for sharing. That was very helpful. We have Kelly from North Carolina. Kelly, welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. What did your fear look like? Yeah. What did your fear look like?
My fear is that my kids will grow up not having an emotional attachment to me and that they will not love me. Wow. I am battling a parental alienation custody case right now, and they are showing signs of just attention-seeking behaviors, and it's making me very fearful.
Do you know that there's other kids that, have attention-seeking behaviors?
I do. As a life coach, I get to coach other women and families as well. And when it's yourself, it's much harder to take your own advice.
But Kelly, that kind of makes you a hypocrite.
It does.
Kind of makes you a hypocrite. And if you stay a hypocrite, you should not be in business, and you shouldn't be talking to anybody, girlfriend.
Well, the thing is...
No. Hold your horses, honey. Now you're trying to give me an excuse, something I'm sure you don't let your clients do.
I don't.
So you're trying to spit out an excuse out of your mouth and trying to build the case that your problem is much bigger than theirs. Is that what you're trying to tell me? It's a yes or no answer. It's real simple.
No.
Oh, no. It actually clearly is. Now you lied. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
If you've ever wanted to make millions, change the world, be the voice for the voiceless, and have a blast doing it, then you need to spend some time with this lady right here. She's been doing it for years, and she'll show you how. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
This is your chance. This is your shot. Get your copy of War on Debt right now. There's one waiting for you that has your family's name on it. And inside that package is freedom. Your freedom, your family's freedom is on the inside of that package. All you have to do is open it up, press play, and start applying what I teach you in this program. 888-757-8880. You and I are going to help your family become completely debt-free in the next 5 to 7 years. Just imagine how that's going to feel.
And now, back to the Dani Johnson Show.
There I was completely homeless and obviously crippled with fear. Fear can be an agitator. I chose to use the agitation of fear that was trying to drive me to committing suicide to use it as an agitator for success. I made the decision in my own mind that whatever it was that I was fearing was going to flip around and be a great positive. I was homeless. And I remember this thought coming to mind saying, oh, Dani, you're homeless. I mean, you're the scum of the earth. You're worse than your parents. You're doing drugs. You're an alcoholic. You're a slut. You're worse than your parents were. I mean, at least they had a roof over their head. And then I remember flipping that equation and that thought, saying, you're homeless. You're the scum of the earth. Saying, yeah, you're right. But you know what? I now will be able to relate to homeless people in a completely different way. And I now will be able to have this experience to teach me of something I never want to do again. And I handled my own fear as an objection and argued with myself that this was a positive. I decided to flip it as a positive thing. And 2 years later, I was a millionaire. I made my first million 2 years after I was a homeless woman. So fear can try to stop you from success, or you can use the fear to propel you towards success, which is a strategy that I've used for a long time. We've got Kelly back on the line from North Carolina. She's a life coach. She's going through hell, and she is living in fear. Kelly, are you ready to tell the truth?
See, during the day, I am okay when my mind is being filled with helping others and giving back what was so freely given to me. And I use strategies and talk with other therapists and coaches along the way and get to step into my power to change others' lives and transform them the way that fear and the abusiveness and alcoholism that I went through as well. And with that being said, it's just when I lay down at night, I start to fear, will my kids hug me and embrace me when I have lunch with them each day? Will they tell me they love me on the phone if I'm able to speak with them at night? Things such as that. And I ask for God's shield to be put upon me, that I'll be strength-filled instead of fear-filled. But I still have the feelings of fear. It paralyzes me sometimes, but it doesn't paralyze me to the fact that I'm unable to function in life. It also coincides with my mother disowning me and going along with my ex-husband and through this custody battle. And that's been very hurtful. And that brings feelings of fear of rejection and not feeling loved and using things like promiscuity to fulfill things that are never going to give me what only God can fill.
So I have a question for you. It sounds like you have some more forgiveness work to do.
I do.
Yeah. And see, bitterness and resentment is the root of fear.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear what I just said?
I did.
Bitterness and resentment, unforgiveness is the root of all fears.
Right.
And who's in charge of forgiving another person?
We are.
Who?
I am.
Oh, I was just checking. Just checking. It sounds like you are working harder on other people than you're working on yourself. It sounds like you feel better and empowered by giving advice than you are with taking it. The best coach is one who is humble and practices what they preach.
Mm-hmm.
You are doing a disservice to the people you are talking to throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And you have no authority to be talking about it unless you're living it.
Mm-hmm.
So I challenge you right now, Kelly, please don't be another bad coach out there. There's thousands of them that are misleading and misguiding people every single day, and it infuriates me.
Mm-hmm.
Kelly, I'm going to tell you something right now. Live authentically. Don't live a lie. Live authentically. By choosing today, as soon as you and I hang up, to fully take 100% responsibility for your disastrous mess that you're in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Your disastrous response to your mother, because you just spit out a big giant paragraph that said victim. I am a victim. And that's the identity that you're living in, is the identity of a victim.
Mm-hmm.
A victim takes no responsibility at all.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't take personal responsibility, you cannot be healed. If you don't take personal responsibility and confess your mess, your part in the mess, God cannot heal you. It says confess and be healed. Forgive and be forgiven. There's that list in your head that says he did, she did, they did.
Right.
The verdict will never go in your direction if you are carrying bitterness. The reason why the shield of faith is not covering you is because you're living in the sin of unforgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why you're battling with this fear after you're done living the facade during the day is because you have not forgiven. And every day it's going to tear at you even more. So if you want the court to rule in your favor, you have to walk in that righteousness. And righteousness is in forgiveness. And you will have forgiven your husband when you love him again. When you have compassion on him. And where you're not gripping to what you want and what you think is right. You will have compassion for your mother when you no longer blame her, and that you have compassion, deep, passionate compassion for those who have villainized you, for those that have hurt you, those who have abandoned you, those who have rejected you. You will have compassion for those people after you have forgiven them. And it's then, Kelly, this is the secret to justice. It is then when the Father in heaven looks at you and says, well done, my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And then he stands in that court for you and he fights the battle for you. You can't change anyone's heart, Kelly, but what you can do is make a mess of somebody's heart.
Mm-hmm.
What you can do is change your heart. You can change your own heart. And then God changes other people's hearts. So it's up to you. How long do you want your kids to be spewing wickedness out of their mouths towards you?
Mm-hmm.
That ball's in your court, Mommy. That's in the palm of your hands.
Mm-hmm.
When we have not forgiven, come on, Kelly, I'm just reminding you of what the books you've already read.
Right.
When we have not forgiven, Kelly, what comes sideways out of our mouths? Manipulation, control, right?
Right.
Planting seeds
Mm-hmm.
that will only reap a horrible harvest for you.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to manipulate your kids. Thinking of things that maybe you can buy or different ways that you can make this happen. See, manipulation and control is a destroyer of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what comes out when we have not forgiven. But when you forgive and you release your kids, because whose kids are they? Are they your husband's?
God's.
Yes.
They're God's kids, and I know that.
No, you don't. No, you don't know
Thank
that.
you.
No, you don't know that because you wouldn't be having this fear if you did.
Yeah.
You like the concept. You like the idea, but you really don't know that they're his. Because if you really knew they were his, you would 100% trust him with them. And you would 100% trust his heart and how he operates and trust the outcome. There'd be no fear. None. None. I'm not saying there'd be no pain. Pain is part of the suffering of our consequences of our stupid mistakes that we've made.
Mm-hmm.
That we're not getting out of. But what he gives us through the suffering of our consequences is peace, joy, faith, hope, kindness, gentleness, and self-control. That's what he gives us while we're suffering from our own consequences. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He's going to make you a better woman out of this. And your children are going to become better people out of this. And your husband is going to become a better man out of this. Your mother and all the people that are in your life are going to become better people because you chose to forgive fully and release and bless and break the judgments that you have against your husband. If you judge your husband, you will be judged in the same way that you judge. You judge the attorneys, you judge the case, you'll be judged in the same way. So, sister, hold tight to the power of forgiveness and release and bless them fully. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more after this.
Did you know that you can crush fear and kick it out of your life? If you didn't, you need to hear what Dani has to say next, here on The Dani Johnson Show.
I'm so blessed that I found what is in Grooming the Next Generation for Success. This is a book that is being taught in universities around the world. It's been noted as the best book on parenting that has ever been written. Crazy, if you ask me. But the point is that this thing gets results. Get your copy today, 888-757-8880. Again, that's 888-757-8880. Or go to DaniJohnson.com. That's DANI Johnson.com. Get your copy today.
And now, back to The Dani Johnson Show.
Fear can be a powerful emotion, but we have to recognize that's all it is an emotion. That's all it is. That's all it is. Think about it. You see, fear is a distractor, but it's not more powerful than your mind. And you can overcome it, and you must overcome it if you're going to have success in whatever area that you're looking for success in your life. So we're talking to people about fear, what they fear and how they have been able to overcome it, or if they haven't overcome it, what steps do we take to overcome? We have Lady Thornton from Chicago, Illinois. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. How can we help you concerning fear today?
Hi, Dani. How are you?
Awesome.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Wow.
Well, you just got an earful from Kelly. Is that what you're wowing about?
I am. I'm wowing about a lot of different things. My heart is pounding like at 1,000 beats a minute. I cannot believe I'm actually talking to you. I have been to many of your meetings and your events, and my husband and I, Demetrius, we've paid off over $500,000 in like less than 13 months.
Wow!
On your war and dead. We have ministered to other people, your teachings, we've shared it with other people, and you have just been a huge blessing in our lives. And one of the things I wanted to share with you today as far as, fears. I have many fears, and I work on them, try to work on them one at a time.
Awesome.
But one of my biggest fears was what you talk about in dealing with dissension and people talking negative to me about other people. And after one of your events, I found that, people just feel extremely comfortable telling me gossip about other people. And it makes me feel terribly uncomfortable. And listening to, your teachings, you say the action is the killer of fear. So I just started putting into practice when people come to me with gossip. It's like, no, you need to go talk to so-and-so about whatever it is that you do, whatever your problem is. And on the flip side of that, when I have a problem with somebody,
You're
I
afraid
only deal
to do
with
it.
them directly with that problem. And I find that although it definitely turns the light in which people see me, they don't want to talk to me as much anymore.
About gossip, for sure. And you don't want gossipers as friends anyway.
You are absolutely right.
Yes, they're toxic. Yes.
And it also brings into light some of your other teachings where, you know who's supposed to be in your life by the seeds that they're planting.
That's right.
If you stop them from doing something in love and they take it with offense, then they weren't supposed to be there to begin with.
Amen. Amen, amen, amen. Which brings me to this place too. And you said something that was so powerful, and that is that taking action is what obliterates fear, which is why when we were with Kelly and we were talking to Kelly, I gave her an action item to step into, and that literally she has that opportunity to walk in absolute faith and healing and restoration and trust, and to be reconciled closer with her Father in heaven, who loves her, who adores her, who has the best for her and for her children, and for the husband, the ex-husband, and the mother, and anyone else that has been a villain in her life. As she's had many, I've had many, but it comes to the place where we have to take action, and that really does obliterate fear. And so I have a question for you. Are you saying that you have a hard time confronting issues with people?
I do. I am. You looked at my gym and analyze it, you would not know that I have this confrontation issue. But I hate to confront people. I don't know. Sometimes it is very stifling. But I find myself that what I do, and it's not in all situations. Sometimes I'll just be like, you know what, I got something else to do.
Of course.
But for the most part...
And we much rather complain about it, right? We much rather... I just had this conversation with somebody in my office. The timing is perfect. We much rather complain about it mentally. Okay, so like those of us have been taught, okay, I'm not going to gossip, right? And we stay away from that. So then we gossip internally.
Absolutely.
And we talk to ourselves about it, like, I can't believe they did that. Why not? And then we fester. We fester inside, right?
Are you reading my mind? On a totally completely related topic, but yet still, I've been festering. So, yeah, definitely, you're right.
So and that shows you that if you're festering, it's because the issue needs to be confronted. And so when we fester, we make the situation bigger than it actually is. Come on, we heard it when we were young. Don't make a mountain of a molehill, right? But that's what we're doing when we fester over it and we don't confront the issue. Now we have, and you know what festering does? Creates anger, frustration.
Yes.
And now we have no patience. So if we're walking in frustration and anger, patience is out the door. Self-control is out the door.
I'm looking around to see where you are, because I swear you're here watching me.
Right? And it's like this. You go to get into your car. Look at this, lady. It's crazy. You go to get in your car, and you open the door a little too much. You're like, oh, man. It was a little thing, right? You drop your pen. Gosh. Your kid does something that is being a kid. Why do you do that? Okay? And again... It's all because of what? We're festering over what someone did, and they might not even know that they did it. They certainly didn't do it to make you upset, but because we don't confront the issue, now...
You're absolutely right.
Now we are not walking in the Spirit of the Most High God, but now we're walking in our flesh, and our flesh stinks. And it's gross. And lady, come on, girlfriend. You want to talk about something to be afraid of? You had $500,000 worth of debt. That was something to be afraid of. And you took that bull by the horns and you confronted your spending habits. You confronted the family's spending habits. You confronted your lack of financial vision. You confronted your debt head on. And you and your husband, look at how God blessed that. $500,000 worth of debt you paid off in 13 months? Honey, guess what? I asked one question for you. How many more years do you want to suffer through the fear of confrontation?
None.
Okay, I'm so glad you said this. The proof that you're telling the truth will be if you pick up the phone and you confront the person you're festering over now. That's the proof.
I don't even have to pick up the phone. I just got to walk over to him.
Oh, good. I love it. Okay. Which means that you're going to honor your husband, because I think that's who you're talking about.
No, I'm at work.
You're at work. Yes. And you're going to lead with honor. You're going to lead with honor. And you're going to lead with compassion. And you're going to lead with confrontation in respect of restoration. That's the goal. And you're going to eat crow and say, is there something that I might have done? I think I miscommunicated something, because you're an amazing person and this, and that. And you edify that person, and then you explain it and be done with it and move on. That's what needs to happen. You take action on that. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I used to be afraid of confronting issues also. I really, really was. This is why I teach this stuff, because I had to live this stuff and it holds me accountable. Now, I have absolutely no fear at all when I have to confront huge, scary issues as well as little tiny ones. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue with more right after this.
The way you look at things is about to change. It's time to take on a whole new mindset. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Friend, you know me. You know how passionate I am about my faith and the land of Israel. I'm so excited to tell you about something directly from the Holy Land. A good friend in Israel has teamed up with a good friend here in the U.S. to bring an incredible product that harnesses the healing power of the Dead Sea. Have you heard about Mud Zero? Face it, we may not like to talk about it, but some of us need help with removing unwanted hair, especially in unwanted places. Mud Zero is a solution for all skin types for men and women. Rub the mask on your skin, let it sit for 5 minutes, wipe it off, and you have smooth skin without the irritation. Then follow it up with a Depi lotion daily to reduce hair growth by up to 50%. Best of all, you can feel good knowing that over 10% of the profits goes directly to King's Ransom to feed the orphan and the widow. Go right now to mudzero.com and take advantage of an introductory offer they've created just for us. mudzero.com. For families in Santa Pancha, Nicaragua, life is filled with fear and struggle. They don't have enough food for their kids, clean water is hard to find, and they're living in a decrepit, unsafe hovel on top of mining tunnels that could explode and sink at any moment. But a miracle is in the making, and you can be a part of transforming this village. Go to kingsransom.org and click on Santa Pancha to see how you can help. That's kingsransom.org, kingsransom.org, and click on Santa Pancha.
What multimillionaire do you know that volunteers their time to help ordinary people like you and me? There's only one. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
I love it when we finish the segment. I'm like, this is so good. You're like, I need to listen to this again. I really love getting the chance to talk to you every day. I really do. And I love hearing your feedback. I love hearing how you're living your life and how you're improving it and steps you're taking to make things even better. I love that you are transparent and that you're open to correction and that you are correcting things in your life so that you can keep yourself on the path where you want to go. So we've been asked the question today on today's program about fear. What do you fear and how have you overcome? So we have Lili Vargas, our very last caller today. Lili, welcome to the show. Answer the question.
Hi, Dani.
Hi.
Hi. I just want to tell you that I just love all that you give. You have to give to the world, and I feel blessed just to be on this call with you. My fear is fear of failure, being unstable, and being unloved.
Yep.
The majority of this stems from my childhood. I know that.
Yep.
But I've come to realize that what I fear the most has actually manifested itself in my life.
Yes.
And I am in a very difficult situation. I recently started back reaching out to God,
Good job.
starting Bible studies, because I feel that when you are at your lowest point and you feel like you've lost everything, he's the only one that can.
It is what you want. And you know what? I think the relationship that he wants to have with you is a continuous one so that you don't fall back again and that you cling to him in everything that you do. You see, the reason, and you were right, it's from your childhood. And so there's forgiveness issues, okay? And you need to forgive, release, and bless fully. But more importantly, you need to know who you are and who your real father is, who he is, and how he feels about you. He loves you. He adores you. There's no human on this earth that can make you feel more loved than the Father in heaven. Nobody. And if you don't feel that love, it's because you don't know who he really, really is. You need to dig deep in finding who he really is and how he truly feels about you. And it starts with the forgiveness of those people from your past and chasing and pursuing him, reading his word, his personal letter that he wrote to you, spending time with people who love him passionately and have a unique relationship with him, people that are not playing religion because that's a bunch of nonsense, but people who truly have the fruit of knowing who they are in their Father, because your identity as a daughter comes from your Father. It doesn't come from the Son, doesn't come from Yeshua, Jesus. It comes from the Father. That's where our identity comes from our Father. So pursue that. Today, I don't know about you, but if you felt like today was helpful and beneficial, please come and tell us. Freely you received today's message. Freely come and give a comment on our website, DaniJohnson.com. Freely share it in your social media platforms. Freely let other people know about it. Come on now. We're not charging you for this, so all we ask is that you spread the news to others so we can help everybody have a better day, more purpose life, and living out their destiny. This is Dani Johnson. We'll continue tomorrow.
This has been The Dani Johnson Show. Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for more insights that will help you get to the life you've always wanted. If you want to hear more, visit us at DaniJohnson.com.
The whole story of how I went from homeless to millions is right here in this book, First Steps to Wealth. I'd love to give you a free copy of this book. Just dial 888-757-8880. You can get your free copy of this book. It's like a real book, my friend. You can get an ebook copy for free right now, or if you'd like to pay the shipping to get this $15 book to your house, I'd be happy to send it to you. 888-757-8880. Get your copy of First Steps to Wealth today and begin on a brand new path of some great success.